I'm getting my Master's of Science in Nursing with no previous nursing experience, and you can do the same if you want. So let's get into the tea all about direct entry nursing programs, because there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns that I need to clear up. Before we get into all that, let's rewind a little bit to how we even got here in the first place, because how and why am I getting a master's degree in nursing when I don't even have an associate's degree in nursing? Rewinding all the way back to high school, that's when I first became interested in being a nurse. So I got my CNA and I started working as a CNA for a couple years. And in that time I was like, do I want to go to school for nursing? I wasn't really sure. I took a gap year, and then eventually I just kind of talked myself out of it. I'm like, no, I don't think it'll really work out very good for me. So I nixed the idea of being a nurse, but I continued to work as a CNA because I really liked being a CNA. I really enjoyed the job. When I went to work, it never really felt like I was going to work versus when I tried to do other jobs like serving. Serving is a different piece. I don't know how people are servers, but that's besides the point. I decided that I didn't want to do nursing. I still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I'm like, doing what a lot of other people that go to college with no idea what they want to do. I'm like, you know what? We'll do business. Why not? What else should I do? It's either business or communications, right? So I ended up getting a business-ish degree. It's not even through the business school. It's like a Bachelor's of Arts in Leadership, whatever. Pointless degree. Nonetheless, I have a bachelor's degree. So I got that bachelor's degree, and when I graduated, I was like, you know what? I actually still have no interest in working in corporate. I have no interest in working in business. I'm like, no, thank you. So I continued working as a CNA as I did all through college, but this is when I started taking travel CNA assignments, and that's another reason I never got a corporate job right when I graduated, because the money I was making doing travel CNA assignments was way surpassing what I could make in an entry-level corporate level job. I continued working as a travel CNA for a couple years, and then finally I was just kind of burnt out of traveling, and I'm like, you know what, let me put this degree to use. Let's try to get a business corporate related degree. So I worked a few different corporate jobs in sales, admin, before coming to the realization that my heart, my passion, my interest is in healthcare, which I knew it was the whole time, because how could I not stop working as a CNA when most people are ready to be done with a CNA when they decide healthcare isn't for them, or when they get a degree. But I just could not stop because healthcare was just for me. That is when I started exploring nursing programs again, because I'm like, you know what? I really just talked myself out of it and convinced myself that I couldn't do it for whatever reason. Don't know why, but I realized that nursing is really my passion, what I want to do. So I started looking at different schooling options where I could get my nursing degree, because I knew that would be the first step. I actually posted a video on that of how I decided on getting my BSN over my ADN or my MSN, but so clearly things have changed, because I still don't want to do the ADN route, just because I, like I said, have already done school. I never plan to go back to school ever again. So now that I have to go back to school, I'm like, you know what? I just need to knock out all this schooling at once and never go back to school again. So yes, getting my ADN would be a little bit cheaper, but honestly, the money that I'm going to be making as a nurse, if I ever start traveling as a nurse, will be able to pay off my loan. So I'm not super worried about the cost of my nursing program. And that's when I decided I was going to do an accelerated BSN program, or so I thought. So I started looking at different accelerated BSN programs, and the cost of those was anywhere from like 50 to like 90,000 in Atlanta. And the program that I ultimately decided to go with, or thought I was going to go with, was like 65,000, and it was a 1-year accelerated BSN program. I was just happy that I could have my BSN, my nursing degree, all in 1 year and just be done with school after that, because right now at least I don't have any interest in becoming an NP. Now I just want to be a nurse, and that's what I'm happy with. So I have no aspirations to be an NP, because I know that's a common question right off the bat, like, dang, can I even become a nurse first? But anyways, obviously I had my mind set on the aBSN program because I made a whole video about it. But then as the time was getting closer, I started to get more and more nervous, because accelerated BSN programs are very few and far between depending on where you are. In Atlanta, there's only like 2 or 3 in the close Atlanta metro area. Obviously the programs are super competitive, and honestly I was just scared to risk not getting in on the first try and having to wait a whole nother year, because they only do 1 cohort a year. So once again, I was back to the drawing board, just opening up all my options, and I decided to explore just a traditional BSN program, because I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I bring in all the classes that I already have from my initial bachelor's degree, it could shorten up that BSN program and still not quite be a year, but around that, like maybe 2 years, and I'd be happy with that. I got in contact with a whole different school, and as I was talking to her, she was like, you know what? You already have a bachelor's degree. It sounds like you would be a better candidate for our direct entry Masters of Nursing program. And right when she said it, I'm like, oh no, oh no. She's trying to upsell me. She's trying to get more tuition money out of me. No, no, no. My mind was just instantly closed off to it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know, send me all the information still. I'll look it over, I'll compare prices, I'll do my own research outside of the information you're giving me, and then we'll see what it's talking about, and I'll talk to you later. Started doing my research, looking at the cost, comparing the timelines, all that stuff, and when I started comparing the prices, I realized that I could get a master's degree for cheaper than I could get my accelerated BSN degree. From that point on, I decided, yeah, I'll be going the Masters of Nursing route. Another big eye-opening moment that made me go the Direct Entry Masters of Nursing program was funding, because I was kind of nervous about how I was gonna fund any of this going back to school. I knew I was gonna have to put it on loan, so I was kind of prepared for that, but I didn't realize the difference in federal loans and when you go back for a second bachelor's degree after you already have one and you use funding for the first one, your funding runs out at a certain point of time for undergrad degrees. Also not considered for a lot of funding when you go back for a second bachelor's. The advisor actually let me know that, so I started doing my own research, and I actually found out there's a whole other financial aid through the government for grad degrees. That was another major reason that I ended up going the master's degree route, was just because of funding. It's a lot more limited since I already have a bachelor's degree, and getting a grad degree opened me up to a lot more funding, a lot more scholarship opportunities. Overall, just giving me a lot more options for paying for my schooling that won't completely bankrupt me in the long run. Programs are really designed for working adults that are going back to school to get into nursing, so the classes are really set up for working professionals. Like ADN programs are typically full-time, in-person, don't have any hybrid component to it, so that obviously wouldn't really work for me because I need to work, I have bills to pay. So the program that I'm going with, all of the classes are going to be online. Of course, the labs, the simulations, the clinicals, all of that stuff is going to be in person at a hospital on campus. But having the ability to complete all the coursework at my own pace is definitely a major pro of the program. And that kind of leads me into all the other pros of the program. So besides being able to work and manage school at the same time, obviously probably won't be working full-time that whole time because it's going to be really busy, especially when I get further into the program. But just having that ability to be able to work and not having to be on campus 5 days a week is a major pro. Another major pro is it is a little bit longer than the aBSN program, given that I'm going to be having a whole master's degree. But it's still shorter or even the same amount of time as getting my ADN degree, but I'm going to have my master's degree. So being able to complete my master's degree in 20 months was definitely a big pro for me as well. Another perk of having your MSN is you can work in any clinical setting. And what I mean by that is sometimes when you graduate with just your RN, don't have your BSN yet, don't have your MSN, you can't work in some settings. So think some of those more high acuity specialties, or even the work from home jobs, really they require you to have at least a BSN. So having this MSN right out of school, obviously I'm gonna have to get experience no matter what, because I'm gonna be a baby nurse. Doesn't really matter your degree, which we can kind of touch on that later. Ultimately, just having the opportunity to work in any setting, whether that's work from home or bedside, without having to go back to school, is definitely a perk. These are more of my program specific things that I was looking at when looking at a school to make sure it had everything that I needed. And it's definitely something you should be researching when you're looking at direct entry master's program. One of the major things I was looking at was making sure that my school placed me at a clinical site, so I didn't have to worry about trying to network and find a nurse that I could do my clinicals with. So they handle all that. And I know that's super common in NP programs nowadays. They don't place you with the clinical site. You have to find that for yourself. Now, that's NP. This MSN is not an NP, and we'll touch on that later. But I'm just saying it is common for some MSN programs not to place you with the clinical site. So if you're in an MSN program, I highly recommend that you look for a program that will place you in a site so you don't have to have that stress. But luckily my program does. And of course, the last two things that I really advise you look at and really want within a program is a high NCLEX pass rate, just because that shows that they're there to help you, they're there to teach you, and you're gonna pass the NCLEX on your first try, so you're not gonna stress about failing it and seeing that they have a low pass rate. You don't want that. That was definitely something I was checking for. And then of course, making sure that the school is accredited, because you don't want to have to go through all this process, all of this hard work for nothing if the school is not even accredited. So I know my school is CCNE accredited, and that's one of the major accreditations. There's one more, but I'm not sure what it is. If you Google it, you can figure it out. But yes, my school is CCNE accredited. Definitely make sure that the nursing program that you're picking has accreditation. Since we've been talking about so many of the positives, there is some cons, and one of them I already kind of touched on is the price of these programs. It's steep, okay? It's very steep. The way I'm thinking about it is I'm applying for all the scholarships I can, all the funding that I can get, all the money I can get for free. I will be applying for that. And also, you know, you're gonna have job security. You know you're gonna get a job when you graduate school. So paying your loans back isn't gonna be an option. And people like to say that traveling isn't gonna be an option down the road. Whatever. I'll let y'all argue about that. I don't have the time, I don't have the breath. But once you get your experience, then you can start traveling, and you know how much travel nurses make, right? So I don't worry about paying off my student loans because of that reason. Obviously, everybody's financial situations are different, and what they think is worth it is different. But for me personally, I know I'm gonna be able to pay back the loans. So even though the cost is very high, and it is kind of like a in the gut, in the chest, actually, really. I know it'll be okay. In the long run, I'll get it paid off. It'll be fine. Also, I feel like I kind of have to touch on this because I did mention that being able to work and go to school was a major pro for me of the program, but also a major con of this program is you're getting a nursing degree and your master's degree all within 20 months. And if you think about a nursing program, that's enough to get in 20 months, right? So you're gonna be very busy in this program. So although it is structured where you're able to work if you need to, it's gonna be very demanding, and how much you're able to work is, you know, up to the person, whatever. The program likely is not gonna be very sweet, okay? You're gonna be very busy for 20 months. It's gonna be very demanding. So that is definitely something that I kind of have myself getting prepared for right now. Is you need to brace yourself, because yes, you're going to be able to get done in 20 months, but you're going to be busy. Now that we got all that out of the way, we need to get into the tea, because I have some things to get off my chest. I have some annoyances, I have some grievances. This is just going to be kind of rapid fire of a lot of the questions that I've gotten asked on my TikTok videos and my Instagram videos when I posted about getting my master's degree with no nursing experience. I feel like a lot of them just come from an uneducated perspective, which no shame, because I wasn't educated that much on direct entry nursing programs either. So this is just kind of clearing the air on that. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about direct entry nursing programs, and I don't like it. I'm not feeling it too much. One of the major things that a lot of people commented on my video was just because you're gonna have a master's degree doesn't put you above anybody else. Just because you're gonna have a master's degree doesn't mean anything when you don't have any experience. And yeah, I hope people would realize that. I hope nurses would realize that at the end of the day, no matter a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, an ADN degree, you are still going to be a baby nurse if you've never been a nurse before. Doesn't mean you're gonna know everything because you've never worked as a nurse at the end of the day. You're simply getting a nursing degree with the master's level of education, and when you graduate, you're still gonna be a baby nurse, still gonna be precepting. It's not like they're gonna say, oh, you have a master's degree, we're gonna throw you to the wolves and you already know everything. Like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you're still gonna be a new nurse with no experience, but you're gonna be able to precept with more experienced nurses, continue to learn more skills on the floor that are actually practical to your day-to-day work life. So learning is not just gonna stop because you have a master's degree. And I feel like people kind of get that confused. They think people are getting master's degrees and just assuming that they know everything. I don't really know. And also, I don't know if I made this clear, but in order to qualify for the direct entry master's program, you have to have a bachelor's degree. So that is why the program can be a little bit shorter for you to get a master's degree. Your education is just building off of that initial bachelor's degree that you already have. Now let's get into the whole NP thing, because oh my gosh, the NP conversation, I don't know what happened to the internet. I don't know what happened with the whole nurse practitioner topic, but I'm gonna need it to be retired. Actually, I think I'm gonna block the word because I'm tired. First of all, I need people to stop associating MSN to NP. They're not the same thing. Just because you have an MSN does not make you a nurse practitioner. So we gotta release the grips. Yes, there is MSN NP programs, but just a regular MSN program is not an MSN NP program. So no, me getting my master's degree doesn't mean I'm gonna be a nurse practitioner with no experience, because I'm not in a nurse practitioner program. If there is any program that is allowing a nurse that has not gotten any experience as a nurse to get their NP, I would not advise, I would not recommend, I do not condone. So MSN, NP, two different things, okay? Two different things. I'm not gonna be an NP with no experience. I'm not gonna be an NP. Let's stop asking nursing students if they're gonna go for their NP. Let's let nursing students live their life in nursing school without making them feel like what they're doing isn't enough already. They should already be aiming for a nurse practitioner degree. Let's release the grips of that, okay? Stop putting the nurse practitioner on nursing students who have never even worked as a nurse before, okay? Let's relax on that, okay? Clearly, the topic gets me heated, okay? But now that I'm off my soapbox of that, another thing I want to make super clear to people that are interested in becoming a nurse and they are interested in going the direct entry master's of nursing program is you are not going to make more money just because you have a master's of nursing degree. It's not gonna happen. Let me be a little bit more clear. It's not gonna happen working bedside. If you're working bedside, working alongside a BSN, you guys are typically going to make the same amount of money. Do not get your MSN degree thinking that you're gonna be making so much money just because you have a master's degree. Also a caveat to that, notice how I said when you work bedside, you're gonna be making the same amount as someone that has a BSN almost 99% of the time. But having that MSN, like I touched on earlier in the video, does open you up to a lot of other job opportunities that may pay you more because you have an MSN. So it's kind of a catch-22. A lot of times those higher paying jobs that require an MSN also require you to have bedside nursing experience experience anyways. So just know, working bedside, you're going to be making the same amount of money as someone who has a BSN and someone that probably just has their RN. On your high horse thinking you have an MSN, you know everything, you make so much more money. That's not how it works in nursing, okay? Now that we cleared the air on all those misconceptions, I'm super excited to get started in my program. Fingers crossed I get through these last 2 prereqs and pass my TEAS testing by the end of August so I can start my nursing program in September. I'm so excited and so ready to get started. Some people ask me for tips on applying to programs. Direct entry programs are typically a lot easier to get into than accelerated BSN programs, so just keep that in mind. But definitely having healthcare experience puts you above everything else. If you haven't got your CNA license yet, I definitely recommend that. And I also think it's a really good job to have while you're in school, because you can just work PRN, you can just work part-time while you're in school, you can pick up odd hours. I think having a CNA job while you're in school is really good. But thank y'all so much for watching. I hope this was able to help you make a better decision and figure out if a direct entry Masters of Nursing program would be right for you. And if you still had some questions, definitely ask me in the comments. I'll be scouring all the comments and replying to all the questions that I have there. And obviously, I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything, but I've done a lot of research, a lot of chat GPTing, a lot of Googling, a lot of watching videos on master's programs. So you can definitely ask me in the comments and I'd love to help you out. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with all my nursing content in my life on and off the clock. And if you're not already following me on TikTok and Instagram, definitely follow me there because I post almost every day. And if you're thinking about going to school for nursing or just thinking about going to school for something in the healthcare field, definitely do it. It's never too late. Don't think it's too late. What would you rather be, 30, 40, 50 with a career that you love, with a degree that you know you worked your ass off for, or in the same spot that you are now with the same things that you're doing now, unhappy, unsure of yourself, not taking that risk, not taking that bet on yourself? Yeah, I think we know the answer. So don't be scared. You got it. You got it. You got it. But thank y'all so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.